On a quiet evening, when the world begins to soften and the noise of the day slowly fades into distant echoes, there is often a small, silent presence watching from the corner of the room, a gentle pair of glowing eyes reflecting the last golden light of sunset, and in that stillness begins the quiet mystery of cats, creatures who have walked beside humanity for thousands of years yet have never fully surrendered their secrets. From the ancient temples of Bubastis in Egypt to modern city apartments high above sleeping streets, cats have remained both companions and enigmas, wrapped in softness yet powered by instincts older than civilization itself. And as you listen tonight, you may begin to feel that their story is not loud or dramatic, but slow, steady, and filled with quiet science that whispers rather than shouts. Long before they purred beside fireplaces or curled at the foot of beds, the ancestors of domestic cats roamed wild landscapes, shaped by moonlight and survival, their senses sharpening in the dark where other creatures struggle to see. And even today, when your cat pauses and stares at something invisible to you, it is not imagination but biology at work, because their eyes contain a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum that gently bounces light back through the retina, allowing them to gather nearly twice as much light as human eyes can in dim conditions, which is why twilight feels like daytime to them and why their gaze sometimes seems to glow with a soft, otherworldly shimmer. That glow has fascinated people for centuries, inspiring myths of magic and mystery, yet beneath the poetry lies elegant evolutionary design, because cats evolved as crepuscular hunters, most active at dawn and dusk when small prey stir quietly through grasses and shadows stretch long across the earth, and in those dim hours their pupils expand into deep black pools, widening dramatically to control light intake with remarkable precision, narrowing to thin vertical slits in bright daylight to protect sensitive retinas, a design so efficient that even modern camera lenses borrow similar aperture concepts to manage exposure. If you watch closely, you may notice how a cat's eyes move before the rest of its body does, tracking the faintest flicker, the smallest motion, and this too is science wrapped in silence, for their visual processing is finely tuned to detect movement far better than color detail, meaning the world they see is less vibrant in hue than ours but infinitely richer in motion. A landscape of shifting shapes and subtle tremors that tells a constant story of possibility. And yet their vision is only part of the quiet mystery, because behind those eyes lies a brain both ancient and surprisingly adaptable, one that balances instinct with learned experience, allowing cats to memorize the sound of a specific footstep in a hallway or the rhythm of a cupboard door that signals food, building associations gently over time, so that what feels to us like intuition is often memory layered upon instinct. As centuries passed and humans began storing grain, attracting rodents into settlements, a subtle partnership formed not through force but convenience, wildcats discovering that human spaces provided reliable hunting grounds, and humans noticing that these silent hunters reduced pests without demanding much in return, and so began a coexistence that slowly shaped the domestic cat we know today, though unlike dogs, whose ancestors were selectively bred for cooperation, cats largely domesticated themselves, retaining a fierce independence that still flickers in their behavior, a reminder that beneath the softness is a creature perfectly capable of solitude. When a cat blinks slowly at you, closing its eyes in an unhurried gesture, it is often described as a sign of trust, and science gently agrees, because slow blinking reduces vigilance, signaling that the animal feels safe enough to momentarily surrender awareness. And if you return that slow blink, you may notice a softening in response, a quiet conversation happening without sound, built not on words but on shared calm. Even their whiskers, extending like delicate antennae from their cheeks, contribute to the silent story, each one rooted deeply in follicles rich with nerve endings, capable of detecting tiny changes in air currents, mapping the world in invisible contours, allowing a cat to navigate narrow spaces or sense movement in complete darkness, turning empty rooms into textured landscapes of sensation. In the stillness of night, when most humans sleep, cats often awaken, stretching slowly, arching their backs in fluid motion that lengthens muscles and primes reflexes, a ritual that appears simple but is deeply biological, increasing blood flow and preparing the body for sudden bursts of speed, because even the most pampered indoor cat carries within it the blueprint of a hunter capable of accelerating with astonishing force in less than a heartbeat. And yet for all this predatory design, they choose to curl beside us, to rest in warm laps, to synchronize their breathing with ours, and researchers have quietly observed that the steady rhythm of a cat's purr, vibrating between 25 and 150 Hz, may even promote tissue healing and stress reduction, frequencies that overlap with those used in certain therapeutic treatments, suggesting that the comfort we feel when a cat settles against us is not only emotional but physiological, a subtle exchange of calm carried on invisible waves of vibration. As the room grows darker and the world outside drifts further into silence, imagine those luminous eyes half closed in contentment, still alert beneath their softness, holding within them thousands of years of evolution, adaptation, and quiet observation, because to understand cats is not to unravel a single dramatic secret but to slowly appreciate a tapestry woven from biology, history, and shared space. And tonight, as you let your thoughts settle gently like dust in fading light, you may begin to sense that the true mystery in their eyes is not something distant or unreachable, but something beautifully close, a reminder that even in stillness there is intricate life, and even in silence there is a story patiently waiting to be seen. In the deep quiet of night, when the air feels softer and the world outside your window has surrendered to shadows, there is a sound so gentle that it almost blends into silence itself, a low rhythmic vibration rising and falling like a distant engine humming beneath layers of comfort. And that sound is the purr, one of the most mysterious and soothing expressions in the animal kingdom. A sound that has puzzled scientists for generations and comforted humans for thousands of years. If you close your eyes and imagine a cat curled beside you, paws tucked neatly beneath its chest, whiskers resting forward, eyes half-lidded in contentment, you can almost feel the vibration through your fingertips before you even hear it. Because a purr is not simply a sound but a sensation, a soft mechanical lullaby created by rapid contractions of the laryngeal muscles inside a cat's throat, opening and closing the glottis dozens of times per second so that each breath becomes layered with vibration, and unlike many vocalizations that occur only during exhalation, the purr flows continuously through both inhaling and exhaling, creating that steady, uninterrupted rhythm that feels almost hypnotic. Scientists have long studied how domestic cats, known scientifically as Felis catus, produce this unique sound, and while early theories suggested it might originate from blood flow or simple throat friction, modern imaging and acoustic analysis reveal a finely tuned neurological loop between the brain and the larynx, a self-sustaining oscillator that keeps the vibration steady with minimal conscious effort, as if purring is not merely a behavior but a built-in state of being. What makes the purr even more fascinating is that it does not belong exclusively to moments of happiness, though that is when we most often notice it. Cats also purr when frightened, when injured, and even while giving birth, leading researchers to believe that the purr may serve multiple biological purposes, acting both as communication and self-soothing mechanism, because those low frequencies, typically ranging between 25 and 150 Hz, fall within a range known to stimulate muscle repair and bone growth in mammals, suggesting that cats may quite literally be healing themselves through vibration. Imagine that for a moment, a small creature resting quietly in a patch of moonlight, generating within its own body a frequency that encourages recovery, as though evolution gifted it a built-in therapy device, subtle yet powerful, invisible yet measurable. And as you listen more closely to the memory of that sound, you might realize why so many people find it deeply calming. Because the human nervous system responds instinctively to steady, low-frequency rhythms, often lowering heart rate and reducing stress hormones in the presence of such vibrations. Over centuries, this gentle hum has woven itself into human history, echoing through stone corridors and candlelit rooms, from ancient households near Nile where cats were treasured guardians of grain stores, to quiet libraries and countryside cottages where they kept scholars company through long winters, their purrs blending with the crackle of firewood and the turning of pages. Yet beyond comfort lies communication. For mother cats begin purring while nursing newborn kittens, guiding blind and deaf infants toward warmth and milk through vibration alone, a form of tactile language that requires no sight or sound recognition, only the steady reassurance of touch, and kittens soon learn to purr in return, strengthening the bond in a cycle of mutual feedback that begins before their eyes even open. Even as adults, cats sometimes use a special variation called a solicitation purr, subtly embedding a higher frequency cry within the usual low hum when they seek food or attention, a clever acoustic layering that humans are particularly sensitive to, perhaps because it mimics the frequency range of a baby's cry, gently activating our caregiving instincts without us fully realizing it. And so what feels like simple affection may also be refined evolutionary communication shaped through thousands of years of coexistence. When you notice how a cat's chest rises and falls during purring, you are witnessing a perfectly coordinated dance between respiratory and muscular systems, controlled by neural circuits that operate with astonishing efficiency. And though large wild cats such as lions and tigers can roar with thunderous force, they cannot produce a continuous purr in quite the same way, because the structural differences in their hyoid bones prioritize powerful vocal projection over sustained vibration, leaving the domestic cat in a unique acoustic category, small in size yet extraordinary in resonance. And perhaps this is why the purr feels so intimate, because it is not designed to travel across savannas or forests but to be shared at close range, to be felt through fabric and skin, to exist within arm's reach, a sound made for companionship rather than dominance. As the hours drift gently onward and your thoughts grow quieter, imagine the subtle energy contained in that vibration, a reminder that nature often hides its most elegant designs in the smallest of creatures, that beneath fur and softness lies a biological instrument tuned with precision, and that sometimes the simplest sounds carry the deepest stories, because the secret language of the purr is not spoken in words or dramatic gestures, but in steady pulses of calm, inviting you to slow your breathing, soften your mind, and rest within the gentle rhythm that has echoed softly beside humanity for thousands of years. When the night stretches wide and silver moonlight spills softly across rooftops and quiet gardens, there is a subtle shift in the rhythm of the world, a transition so gentle that many never notice it, yet within that stillness a pair of ears may lift, a body may rise from its curled rest, and a cat may step silently into motion, carrying within it the ancient blueprint of a hunter shaped not by noise or chaos, but by patience and precision. Long before cats curled on warm sofas or dozed beside glowing lamps, their ancestors moved through tall grasses and rocky terrain beneath vast open skies, guided by instinct and the quiet shimmer of starlight, and though domestic life has softened their edges, the core design remains unchanged, a creature engineered for stealth, equipped with senses so finely tuned that even the faint rustle of a moth's wing can stir their attention. Unlike humans who rely heavily on daylight vision, cats evolved to thrive in the subtle gradients of dawn and dusk, those in-between hours when shadows stretch long and prey animals begin to stir, and it is in these moments that their bodies seem almost weightless, each step placed with deliberate care, toes touching the ground before the heel lowers, reducing vibration and minimizing sound. The structure of their paws plays a quiet but essential role in this elegance, cushioned with soft pads that absorb impact and allow them to walk across surfaces with remarkable silence, while retractable claws remain sheathed until needed, preserving sharpness and preventing the faint clicking sound that exposed claws might create. Their spine, flexible and fluid, acts like a living spring, compressing and extending in a seamless wave when they run, enabling bursts of acceleration that can propel them forward in less than a second. Yet this power is rarely wasted, because hunting for a cat is not about frantic pursuit but calculated stillness. If you have ever watched a cat freeze mid-step, eyes locked onto something nearly invisible, you have witnessed the still point of a biological equation unfolding in real time, where depth perception, muscle tension, and balance align in perfect harmony. Their whiskers, sensitive enough to detect subtle air shifts, help map the contours of narrow spaces, allowing them to judge whether their body can pass through an opening without ever measuring it consciously, while their inner ears maintain extraordinary equilibrium, enabling swift changes in direction without losing stability. Even their tails contribute to this balance, acting as counterweights during leaps and tight turns, fine-tuning their center of gravity with small adjustments that often go unnoticed by human eyes. Beneath their fur, fast-twitch muscle fibers lie ready, designed for explosive movement rather than long-distance endurance, reflecting their evolutionary role as ambush predators who conserve energy until the precise moment of action. When they leap, it is not random but calculated, distance is assessed through a combination of visual cues and subtle body memory, and studies observing domestic cats have shown that they can rotate their bodies midair using a riding reflex so refined that even when dropped unexpectedly, they often land gracefully on their feet, a phenomenon rooted in spinal flexibility and rapid neural coordination rather than magic. And yet, despite all this silent machinery of motion, much of their hunting behavior in modern homes is directed not toward survival but expression, toys becoming symbolic prey, shadows transforming into temporary targets, a gentle rehearsal of instincts passed down through generations. The science behind this play reveals that predatory sequences remain deeply embedded in their neural circuits, and without opportunities to engage those sequences, cats can become restless or anxious, as though a quiet song within them has gone unsung. Their hearing, too, extends beyond our own range, capable of detecting ultrasonic frequencies emitted by small rodents, and when their ears pivot independently toward faint sounds, triangulating direction with mathematical precision, it becomes clear that silence for them is not emptiness but information, a tapestry woven from subtle vibrations that humans rarely perceive. Even in the comfort of a living room, beneath soft lamps and gentle music, a cat may pause and listen to the faint hum of distant appliances or the subtle echo of footsteps in a hallway, absorbing layers of environmental data without effort. In moonlight, their fur often appears silvered, each hair catching pale light, creating an almost ethereal outline as they move, but what seems mystical is simply adaptation meeting atmosphere, biology meeting beauty. As you imagine this silent hunter crossing a quiet yard, paws brushing dew-kissed grass, muscles poised yet calm, you may begin to sense that the essence of a cat is not constant motion but controlled stillness, not noise but awareness, and that within their small frame exists a lineage stretching back thousands of years, shaped by survival under open skies. And as the night deepens and your thoughts grow softer, you might feel comfort in knowing that even now, in warm homes and peaceful apartments, that ancient rhythm continues quietly, a reminder that nature's most elegant designs often move without sound, and that sometimes the greatest power lies not in volume, but in silence. In the gentle hush of an afternoon, when sunlight filters through curtains and dust motes drift lazily in the air, there is perhaps no sight more peaceful than a cat surrendering to sleep, its body curved into a crescent of warmth, tail wrapped delicately around its paws, whiskers relaxed, breathing slow and steady, as though it has mastered the quiet art of rest in a way few humans ever truly do. Sleep, for a cat, is not simply a pause between activities but an intricate biological rhythm woven into its evolutionary design, a pattern shaped by centuries of energy conservation and sudden bursts of action. And while it may seem that cats sleep endlessly, sometimes up to 16 hours a day, this apparent laziness hides a deeper logic rooted in survival strategy. Unlike humans, whose days are often structured by artificial schedules and glowing clocks, cats follow an internal cycle influenced by light levels, instinct, and metabolic demands, drifting in and out of light sleep with remarkable flexibility, their ears still capable of detecting subtle changes in sound even while their bodies appear completely relaxed. This ability to hover between awareness and rest is a gift from their wild ancestors, who could never afford the vulnerability of deep unconsciousness for long stretches of time, and so even now, in the safety of a quiet home, a cat may flick an ear or twitch a paw mid-nap, responding to faint environmental cues without ever fully waking. Beneath that soft fur, fascinating neurological processes unfold, because cats experience both non-rapid eye movement sleep and rapid eye movement sleep, much like humans, and during those deeper REM phases, their brains become highly active, sometimes producing small muscle twitches or soft murmurs that hint at dreaming. Scientists studying feline sleep have observed similar brainwave patterns between cats and humans during REM cycles, suggesting that somewhere within those quiet moments, a cat's mind may replay fragments of the day, perhaps the flutter of a toy, the warmth of a sunbeam, or the subtle rustle of nighttime air. Yet unlike human sleep, which often follows long, uninterrupted blocks, feline rest is divided into many shorter segments, each one serving as a miniature recharge, preserving energy while keeping the nervous system alert enough to respond instantly if needed. The positions they choose are not random either, because when a cat curls tightly into a ball, nose tucked close to tail, it is conserving body heat and protecting vulnerable organs, a posture inherited from outdoor ancestors exposed to cooler nights. While when it stretches fully on its side or back, paws extended and belly revealed, it signals profound trust in its surroundings, a declaration that the environment feels safe enough to allow complete relaxation. The warmth of sunlight plays a particularly enchanting role in their sleep habits, as cats instinctively seek out patches of light that shift slowly across floors and furniture throughout the day, adjusting their resting place in quiet pursuit of comfort. And this behavior is more than preference, it reflects their slightly higher baseline body temperature compared to humans, meaning they naturally gravitate toward external warmth to maintain thermal balance without expending excess energy. Even their purring sometimes continues faintly during sleep, a soft vibration that may stabilize breathing and heart rhythms, adding another layer of gentle regulation to their resting state. In homes across bustling cities like Istanbul, where street cats nap peacefully along ancient stone pathways, or in quiet countryside cottages far from urban noise, the image remains the same, a creature perfectly at ease within the architecture of its own slumber. Watching a cat sleep can feel almost meditative because their stillness invites our own bodies to slow down, our breathing to soften in unconscious imitation, and researchers have noted that simply observing a peacefully resting animal can reduce stress levels in humans, lowering blood pressure and calming racing thoughts. Perhaps this is why their naps seem contagious, why an afternoon that might otherwise feel restless becomes serene when accompanied by the quiet rise and fall of a sleeping cat nearby. And as evening approaches, when the light shifts from gold to violet and shadows lengthen gently along the walls, a cat may begin to stir, stretching one paw at a time, arching its back in a fluid motion that awakens muscles gradually, preparing once again for subtle exploration, because sleep for them is never an escape but a renewal, a carefully measured restoration that fuels the silent adventures of dusk. As you let your own thoughts drift like those dust motes in fading light, imagine the simple elegance of that small body at rest, guided by rhythms older than cities and softer than words, and feel the comfort in knowing that within the quiet architecture of a cat's nap lies a perfect balance of vigilance and vulnerability, energy and ease, instinct and trust, all unfolding in silence beneath a patch of warm, golden sun. In the quiet spaces between movement and stillness, when a cat pauses at the edge of a doorway or leans forward to examine a narrow gap beneath a cabinet, there is an almost imperceptible shift that occurs before the body advances, a subtle tremor in the air, a delicate forward tilt of the head, and in that suspended moment the whiskers begin their silent work, stretching outward like fine silver threads designed not merely for decoration, but for sensing a world too delicate for eyes alone. These whiskers, scientifically known as vibrissae, are far more than simple hairs. They are deeply embedded sensory tools anchored into follicles rich with blood vessels and nerve endings, each one connected to a dense network of neural pathways that transmit information to the brain with remarkable speed and clarity. While human fingertips may explore texture through touch, a cat's whiskers explore space through vibration, detecting shifts in airflow so subtle that even the passing of a small insect can register as a faint tremor along their sensitive shafts, turning empty corridors and darkened rooms into living maps of invisible motion. When a cat approaches a tight opening, its whiskers often fan forward instinctively, measuring width and depth with astonishing precision, because the span of the whiskers roughly corresponds to the width of the cat's body, offering a built-in gauge that helps determine whether passage is possible without ever physically testing the space. This elegant adaptation evolved over thousands of years in wild landscapes where narrow rock crevices and dense undergrowth demanded accurate spatial judgment. And even now, in modern homes filled with furniture and quiet corners, that ancient mechanism remains active, guiding gentle movements with quiet certainty. If you observe closely in soft lamplight, you might notice that whiskers are not limited to the cheeks alone. Shorter vibrissae appear above the eyes, along the jawline, and even on the backs of the front legs, each cluster contributing to a three-dimensional awareness that extends beyond ordinary vision. The leg whiskers, for example, assist during hunting by sensing the precise position of captured prey, ensuring accurate bites delivered swiftly and efficiently, a reminder that beneath domestic comfort lies the blueprint of a skilled predator. Yet whiskers are not solely tools of survival. They are also instruments of communication, subtly shifting positions to reflect emotional states, angling forward in curiosity, flattening slightly during uncertainty, relaxing gently when content. This expressive quality adds a quiet layer to feline body language, one that attentive observers can learn to interpret with time and patience. Imagine a cat seated on a windowsill at dusk, cool evening air brushing against its face, whiskers trembling almost invisibly as currents shift and distant sounds ripple through the darkness. In that posture, it is not merely looking outward but feeling the environment through delicate strands that translate air into awareness. Scientists studying tactile perception in domestic cats, known formally as Felis catus, have found that the brain regions responsible for processing whisker input are disproportionately large, emphasizing just how central these structures are to navigation and interpretation of the world. Even in complete darkness, when vision becomes secondary, whiskers maintain spatial clarity, allowing cats to move confidently through rooms without collision, guided by airflow patterns bouncing off walls and objects. There is something almost poetic in this design, the idea that the air itself becomes a canvas painted with invisible signals, and that a creature so small can read that canvas effortlessly. Over centuries, across continents from the quiet alleyways of Rome to the bustling harbor streets of Tokyo, cats have relied on these delicate instruments to adapt to ever-changing surroundings, adjusting seamlessly from rural barns to urban apartments without losing their innate orientation. And yet, despite their sensitivity, whiskers are resilient, capable of bending without breaking, flexible enough to endure daily exploration while maintaining structural integrity. It is important to understand that trimming a cat's whiskers can cause disorientation, because removing them disrupts that finely tuned sensory network, leaving the animal momentarily uncertain in spaces it once navigated with ease. As night deepens and your thoughts slow to a softer rhythm, imagine those slender whiskers outlined gently in moonlight, catching faint currents that drift unnoticed by human senses, mapping invisible terrain with quiet intelligence. In that image lies a deeper comfort, a reminder that awareness does not always require noise or spectacle, that sometimes the most profound understanding arises from subtle perception, from listening to what cannot be heard and feeling what cannot be seen. And so, as the room settles into calm and the world beyond your window grows hushed, picture a cat resting peacefully, whiskers relaxed against soft fur, still ready to awaken at the faintest ripple in the air, carrying within those fine threads a lifetime of silent maps drawn by wind, movement, and the gentle science of touch. Main any sleepy documentary video, Nani Hai for YouTube, or is video key duration 2 hours and 15 minutes key ho? Is story script main jo senses and visuals hain wo apni is topic ku according deny hain jomi apko du ga? Or hanya make sure karna k visualas repeat na han har ike new topic script image generation me. Topic bello, sleepy science facts about. Is idea par HMY 20,000 words key script ready car kadu jo engaging and cinematic ho, or 20,000 words ko 20 sections me convert car do. Har section 1,000 words ka honi chai. Har section key script simple paragraph me ho koi points add nahi karni, story relaxing, comfort and smooth feel carve kyung k main story YouTube platform per is liya upload daily karna chata han take log mary is sleepy, and script jo ap muji provide crow gai fully engaging or. Is terasi honi chai k viewers start me hi puri story dekni kuliya hooked han or tum curiosity ad karni high. Cinematic and engagement B, Story AI Se Ben Vani Hai, SB section English Mei Hon Che. In the gentle hush before dawn, when the sky is painted in soft shades of blue and silver and the world feels suspended between dreaming and waking, a cat often stirs with quiet awareness, as though tuned to a frequency the rest of us cannot quite hear, and in that stillness begins the silent symphony of feline senses, an orchestra of perception so refined that even the faintest whisper of movement becomes meaningful. While humans rely heavily on sight, cats experience the world through a layered sensory system in which hearing, smell, touch, and subtle vibration blend seamlessly, creating a multidimensional awareness that feels almost magical when observed from the outside. Their ears, triangular and expressive, rotate independently like delicate satellite dishes, capable of turning nearly 180 degrees to pinpoint the origin of a sound, and within those elegant structures lies an auditory range far broader than our own, extending into ultrasonic frequencies that small rodents use to communicate. This means that while a room may seem perfectly silent to you, it may hum softly with hidden signals to a cat, distant footsteps, the rustle of leaves brushing against a window, or the faint squeak of something moving behind a wall, each note carefully catalogued by a brain evolved for attentive listening. Yet hearing is only one instrument in this symphony, because scent weaves its own subtle melody through their perception, carried invisibly through the air and decoded by receptors far more sensitive than those in the human nose. Inside the roof of a cat's mouth rests the vomeronasal organ, sometimes called the Jacobson's organ, which allows them to analyze complex chemical signals. And when you see a cat pause with its mouth slightly open after smelling something intriguing, it is performing a behavior known as the Flamen response, drawing scent molecules inward for deeper interpretation, as though reading a hidden language written in air. This layered sensory design allows cats to gather detailed information about territory, other animals, and even emotional states, forming a mental map far richer than we might imagine. Their sense of touch, too, extends beyond whiskers alone, for the pads of their paws contain numerous nerve endings that detect texture and temperature with extraordinary precision, enabling them to navigate rough bark, cool tile, or soft fabric with effortless adjustment. When a cat kneads gently against a blanket or a lap, pressing paws rhythmically as though shaping invisible dough, it is a behavior rooted in kittenhood, when nursing stimulated comfort and nourishment, and though the setting may have changed from nest to living room, the emotional resonance remains. Vision, while different from ours in color perception, excels in detecting movement, thanks to a high concentration of rod cells in the retina, making even slight shifts in shadow stand out clearly, and the reflective layer known as the tapetum lucidum enhances low-light sensitivity, allowing them to function gracefully in dim environments. Scientists studying domestic cats, formerly classified as Felis catus, have observed how these sensory systems integrate seamlessly, creating rapid neural responses that enable split-second decisions during hunting or play. Even their balance system, housed within the inner ear, contributes to this orchestration, guiding graceful leaps and ensuring stability when traversing narrow ledges or high shelves. In bustling cities such as Istanbul, where street cats navigate crowded markets and echoing alleyways, or in the serene suburbs of Kyoto, where garden paths wind quietly beneath maple trees, this sensory symphony unfolds constantly, adapting to noise, scent, and shifting light with fluid precision. What appears to us as simple curiosity, a cat tilting its head or freezing mid-step, is often the visible tip of complex sensory processing happening beneath fur and bone. And yet, despite the sophistication of this system, it operates without drama, without spectacle, blending seamlessly into daily life so that we often overlook the wonder contained within it. As the evening deepens and soft lamplight pools across the floor, imagine the unseen currents flowing through the room, the faint vibrations traveling through air and surface, the subtle scents drifting unnoticed by human senses, all forming a quiet composition that your feline companion can interpret with ease. In that image lies a gentle reminder that awareness does not require noise, that perception can be layered and quiet, and that within the small frame of a resting cat exists a harmony of biology and instinct finely tuned by evolution. As you breathe slowly and let your thoughts settle, consider how this symphony continues even now, ears listening, whiskers sensing, paws feeling the texture of the world, each sense playing its part in a silent orchestra that has performed softly beside humanity for thousands of years, never demanding applause, only existing in graceful, attentive calm. In the soft glow of evening, when lamps cast warm halos against quiet walls and the world outside slows into gentle shadow, a cat may sit nearby, composed and still, yet if you look closely, you will notice that one part of its body rarely rests for long, the tail moving in slow arcs or subtle flicks, tracing emotions in the air like a silent calligrapher writing messages too delicate for words. The feline tail is more than a graceful extension of the spine. It is an expressive instrument, a finely tuned communicator that reveals feelings, intentions, and fleeting thoughts with remarkable honesty. Beneath its fur lies a continuation of vertebrae, small bones stacked in precise alignment, supported by muscles that allow both sweeping movements and the tiniest quiver at the tip, and through these motions cats convey a language that attentive observers can learn to understand. When a cat approaches you with its tail held high, slightly curved at the end like a question mark, it signals confidence and friendliness, an open declaration of comfort within its surroundings, and this posture echoes the greeting rituals observed between feline companions who trust one another. In contrast, a tail puffed outward and bristling signals sudden alarm, the fur standing on end through a reflexive process called piloerection, designed to make the body appear larger in moments of fear or confrontation, a vestige of wild ancestry still present even in the calmest household pet. If the tail flicks sharply back and forth while the body remains otherwise still, it often indicates irritation or heightened focus, a quiet warning that something has disrupted inner balance, while a slow, rhythmic sway can reflect deep concentration, perhaps during the patient observation of a fluttering shadow or drifting dust mote illuminated by moonlight. Each movement exists within context, shaped by the surrounding environment and the cat's internal state, forming a nuanced communication system that operates continuously without sound. Scientists observing domestic cats, formerly known as Felis catus, have noted how tail signals often synchronize with ear position, whisker angle, and pupil dilation, creating a layered display of emotion that unfolds seamlessly in social interactions. In multi-cat households, these visual cues help prevent conflict, allowing animals to interpret one another's comfort levels and intentions before escalation occurs. And even in solitary settings, the tail remains active, balancing the body during leaps, adjusting center of gravity with subtle shifts that maintain elegance midair. Imagine a cat walking along a narrow fence beneath starlight, its tail extended horizontally as a counterweight, correcting each slight wobble with intuitive precision, transforming what might be a precarious path into a smooth and confident stride. Across cultures and centuries, from quiet courtyards in Rome to lantern-lit streets of Seoul, cats have carried this silent language with them, weaving their stories through markets, temples, and modern homes alike. Yet despite its visibility, the tail's meaning is often misunderstood by those unfamiliar with its subtleties, because unlike dogs whose wagging often signals broad excitement, feline tail motion is more restrained, more precise, reflecting the cat's measured approach to the world. When a cat wraps its tail gently around your arm or leg, it is not merely a balancing act but a gesture of social bonding, echoing the intertwining of tails between feline companions who share mutual trust. There is something profoundly calming in watching this quiet communication unfold, because it reminds us that emotion need not be loud to be clear, that subtlety carries depth, and that awareness grows through observation. As you let your thoughts drift gently, picture a cat resting on a windowsill, city lights shimmering faintly in the distance, its tail curled neatly around its body as if completing a circle of warmth and safety. In that stillness, the language of the tail may pause, yet it never truly disappears, ready to speak again with the smallest flick or curve, translating instinct into motion with effortless grace. And so, in the peaceful rhythm of night, as breathing slows and shadows lengthen softly across the floor, remember that within those gentle movements lies a dialogue older than cities, a wordless expression shaped by evolution and refined by coexistence, whispering quietly in arcs and curves that only patience can fully understand. In the quiet stretch of early morning, when pale light begins to wash softly across the floor and the world still lingers between sleep and wakefulness, a cat may rise from its resting place and step forward with a grace so effortless that it almost seems to float, each paw touching down in perfect sequence, leaving no sound behind. And in that gentle motion lies one of the most remarkable pieces of feline design. The paws of a cat are small masterpieces of evolution, crafted for silence, sensitivity, balance, and power, each one carrying within it a complex network of bones, tendons, and soft pads that work together in seamless harmony. Beneath the velvety surface of those pads are thick cushions of fatty tissue that absorb shock and muffle impact, allowing cats to move across hardwood floors, garden soil, or stone pathways without echo or vibration, a feature that once ensured successful hunts beneath open skies and now allows them to wander peacefully through living rooms at night without waking those who sleep nearby. When a cat walks, it follows a pattern known as direct registering, meaning the hind paw steps almost precisely into the footprint left by the front paw, minimizing noise and creating a narrow trail, an instinct inherited from wild ancestors who needed to tread carefully across shifting terrain. This method not only reduces sound but also increases stability, distributing weight evenly and maintaining balance even on uneven surfaces. Each paw contains retractable claws, curved and sharp, hidden safely within protective sheaths when not in use, preserving their edges and preventing unnecessary wear, and when extended, these claws provide traction for climbing trees, gripping surfaces, or securing prey with astonishing precision. The mechanism that allows claws to retract is powered by specialized tendons and muscles, a quiet system of control that responds instantly to intention, reflecting the cat's ability to shift from relaxation to readiness within a heartbeat. Scientists studying domestic cats, formerly classified as Felis catus, have observed that their gait is digitigrade, meaning they walk on their toes rather than the soles of their feet, a posture that lengthens the limbs and enhances speed, enabling explosive acceleration when necessary. This toe-walking stance contributes to the fluid elegance we admire because it lifts the body slightly higher, allowing longer strides and greater agility. Even the small dew claw, located slightly above the front paws, plays a subtle role, aiding in gripping and climbing when extended. When a cat leaps onto a shelf or windowsill, its paws land with extraordinary accuracy, guided by a finely tuned sense of depth perception and muscle memory, and the pads absorb impact so smoothly that the movement appears almost weightless. Imagine a cat crossing a garden at dusk, stepping lightly across dew-kissed grass, the cool moisture brushing against sensitive pads that detect temperature and texture with refined awareness, each step calibrated through sensory feedback that travels instantly to the brain. Those pads are also rich in scent glands, leaving faint chemical traces that mark territory invisibly, a quiet communication system shared with other cats who may pass by later. Across centuries and continents, from ancient alleyways of Athens to bustling streets of Mumbai, feline paws have navigated stone, sand, and wood with equal confidence, adapting effortlessly to human-built environments while retaining their primal precision. And yet, despite their strength and complexity, paws remain delicate, sensitive to injury and temperature extremes, reminding us that beneath the quiet mastery lies vulnerability. Watching a cat stretch its toes outward after waking, flexing each claw in turn, is like witnessing the tuning of an instrument before performance, a preparation that acknowledges both readiness and restraint. There is comfort in observing this understated artistry, because it reveals how power and gentleness can coexist, how something designed for hunting can also tread softly beside us in trust. As evening returns and shadows lengthen across the floor, imagine those silent paws moving through the dim light, carrying centuries of adaptation in every step, tracing pathways that require no sound to be understood. In that motion lies a deeper reminder that elegance often resides in subtlety, that true strength may whisper rather than roar, and that within the quiet rhythm of padded footsteps exists a timeless harmony between biology and grace, unfolding softly with each careful stride. In the quiet moments when a cat is resting but not fully asleep, there exists a hidden readiness beneath its relaxed posture, a biological alert system tuned to respond instantly to danger, movement, or opportunity, and this extraordinary reflexive ability is one of the reasons cats have survived across thousands of years of changing landscapes and human civilizations. Among the most fascinating of these reflexes is the famous riding reflex, a natural mechanism that allows a falling cat to orient its body midair so that it can land safely on its feet, a phenomenon that has intrigued scientists and fascinated observers since early studies of animal motion. This reflex is not magic but physics combined with neural speed and spinal flexibility, allowing the cat to rotate different parts of its body independently during a fall, first twisting the head, then the spine, and finally the hind legs, like a series of fluid mechanical adjustments performed within fractions of a second. Researchers studying domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, have observed that this reflex begins developing when kittens are only a few weeks old, gradually improving as muscle coordination and spatial awareness strengthen through play and exploration. The spine of a cat is unusually flexible compared to many mammals because it contains a larger number of vertebrae connected by elastic muscles and ligaments, allowing the body to bend and twist with extraordinary freedom. When a cat falls, it also instinctively spreads its limbs outward to increase air resistance, slowing descent speed slightly, similar to how a skydiver spreads their body to control motion through air currents. This natural aerodynamics is not enough to completely prevent injury from great heights, but it does significantly improve survival chances in moderate falls. Studies conducted in urban environments such as New York have shown that many injured cats survive falls from high buildings due to this combination of reflexes and body design, though safety remains important for domestic pets living in elevated apartments. Another remarkable reflex is the startle response, where a cat's body can transition from complete relaxation to explosive movement in less than 1/10 of a second, powered by fast-twitch muscle fibers that act like biological springs. This is why even a sleeping cat can suddenly leap away from a noise or unexpected touch with astonishing speed. Their neural pathways are optimized for rapid decision-making rather than complex long-term planning, which suits their historical role as ambush hunters who needed to react instantly to prey movement in dim light conditions. Watching a cat react to a sudden falling object or fluttering insect reveals this evolutionary design in real time, a reminder that beneath calm appearances lies a highly tuned survival machine. Even their ability to land silently is connected to this reflex system, because their paw pads and limb joints absorb shock while maintaining balance. Across centuries, from ancient homes in France to modern apartments worldwide, humans have admired this graceful survival architecture, often comparing cats to living examples of physics in motion. And yet, despite these powerful reflexes, cats often move slowly and deliberately when they feel safe, conserving energy rather than using speed unnecessarily, because survival in the wild depended on balancing explosive action with long periods of calm observation. As you imagine a cat sleeping peacefully near a window, sunlight fading softly across its fur, you may realize that even in sleep, its body is prepared for movement, like a story waiting quietly between pages, ready to unfold at the slightest change in rhythm. In that balance between stillness and reaction lies one of the deepest secrets of feline survival, the art of being both relaxed and ready at the same time, moving through the world like a silent thought drifting gently through night air. In the soft silence of night, when human thoughts slow and breathing becomes deeper and more relaxed, a cat sitting quietly beside you may appear calm and emotionless, yet beneath that still exterior lies a complex emotional and neurological world shaped by millions of years of evolution, social interaction, and survival instinct. Because cats feel emotions in their own subtle way, not through dramatic expression but through delicate physiological signals, body posture, and rhythmic biological responses that often go unnoticed by untrained observers. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, possess a limbic brain structure similar to many mammals, meaning they can experience comfort, fear, affection, curiosity, and stress, though their emotional communication is usually quieter and more controlled compared to highly social animals, reflecting their evolutionary history as both solitary hunters and selective social companions. One of the most fascinating emotional indicators in cats is heart rhythm synchronization with their environment and trusted companions, because research has shown that when a cat feels safe, its heart rate can gradually slow to match calm environmental rhythms, almost like biological music adjusting itself to peaceful surroundings. When a cat lies close to a sleeping human, particularly in warm and quiet environments such as homes in Barcelona or coastal apartments overlooking quiet streets, this heart rhythm alignment can promote relaxation for both species, creating a shared physiological calm that researchers sometimes call cross-species comfort resonance. A cat's emotional world is also expressed through subtle facial muscle movement, especially around the eyes and mouth, where tiny shifts can signal trust, relaxation, or mild discomfort. And when a cat slowly closes its eyes while looking at a human, it is often performing a social bonding gesture known as slow blinking, which signals safety and positive recognition, almost like a silent emotional conversation without words. The science behind this behavior suggests that slow blinking may reduce visual threat signals between individuals, allowing social bonds to strengthen naturally over time. Emotional bonding is especially strong between mother cats and kittens because early life interactions shape neurological development, and kittens who receive frequent warmth, grooming, and vocal reassurance grow into more socially confident adult cats. Grooming itself is not only hygiene but emotional language, because when cats groom each other or even gently lick their human companions, they are performing a behavior called allogrooming, which strengthens social bonds through chemical scent sharing and physical comfort reinforcement. The emotional calmness many people feel around cats may also be linked to rhythmic purring vibrations, which can subtly influence human nervous systems, encouraging slower breathing and reduce stress hormone production, similar to meditation music played softly in the background of a quiet night. In urban environments such as Seoul, where busy streets create constant sensory stimulation, many people keep cats as emotional companions because their quiet presence provides psychological balance without overwhelming social demands. Interestingly, cats are also capable of forming selective attachments rather than broad social networks, meaning they often choose one or two trusted individuals with whom they share deeper emotional familiarity. When a cat chooses to sit on a specific person's chest or lap, it is not random behavior but a sign of comfort recognition, because the warmth, heartbeat vibration, and breathing rhythm create an environment similar to the security kittens experience with their mothers. Even their sleeping positions can reveal emotional states, because a cat sleeping with its belly exposed is demonstrating high levels of trust, since the abdomen contains vital organs and is normally protected in natural survival settings. As evening deepens and quiet music might play softly in the background of a home, imagine a cat resting peacefully beside a window overlooking distant city lights. Its breathing slow, heart steady, emotions balance between instinct and comfort, like a small biological clock keeping time with the night itself. And in that peaceful scene, you may begin to understand that feline emotions are not loud or theatrical, but instead move like slow waves across still water, gentle, quiet, and deeply meaningful to those who take time to observe. In the quiet warmth of a home in the soft glow of evening lights, you may notice a cat suddenly shift from stillness into playful energy, chasing invisible ghosts across the floor, pouncing on moving shadows, or batting gently at a dangling string. And this behavior is not simply entertainment but an important part of learning, memory building, and emotional regulation. Because play is how young cats practice survival skills they would once need in wild environments. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, learn through a combination of instinct and environmental interaction, and even adult cats continue to engage in playful behavior because it helps maintain muscle coordination, mental sharpness, and stress relief. When a cat chases a moving toy, it is activating ancient predatory sequences stored deep within its brain, starting with visual tracking, then stalking, then rapid sprinting, and finally a simulated capture bite, though in domestic settings the final bite is usually gentle, reflecting social bonding rather than hunting necessity. This sequence mirrors natural hunting patterns that would have been essential for survival in regions like Southeast Asia, where wild feline ancestors once navigated dense forests and grassy fields filled with small prey animals. Play behavior also helps kittens learn social boundaries, because during group play, siblings learn how hard they can bite or scratch without causing harm, a process called bite inhibition development. If a kitten bites too hard during play, another kitten may suddenly stop playing or make a sharp vocal protest sound, teaching emotional and physical limits through natural feedback. Humans often contribute to this learning process by using toys instead of hands, allowing cats to satisfy their hunting instincts without associating human skin with prey behavior. Play is also closely linked to cognitive curiosity, and cats are known to explore new objects slowly at first, sniffing, touching lightly with paws, and observing movement before fully engaging, because unfamiliar objects could historically represent potential threats. In busy cities such as Hong Kong, where living spaces are smaller, cat owners often use vertical climbing structures to encourage natural play behaviors, since climbing is deeply rooted in feline survival instincts. Vertical movement not only provides exercise but also psychological comfort, because high places historically allowed wild cats to observe territories safely from predators. When a cat jumps from one surface to another during play, its brain is performing complex spatial calculations, estimating distance, force, and landing angle in milliseconds, combining vision with muscle memory and balance system signals. Younger cats tend to play more frequently because their brains are still developing neural pathways related to coordination and social learning, while older cats may prefer slower, more strategic play that involves stalking rather than running. Even simple objects like crumpled paper balls can trigger intense excitement because cats do not require complex toys. Movement, unpredictability, and sound are usually enough to activate their hunting instincts. Scientists studying behavior patterns in domestic cats have observed that play sessions often mimic short hunting bursts followed by rest periods, matching natural energy conservation patterns. As night deepens and the house grows quiet, you may see a cat suddenly wake from sleep, stretch slowly, and begin quietly practicing play movements alone, chasing imaginary prey across moonlit floors, because instinct never fully disappears even in safe domestic environments. Watching this behavior can feel almost poetic, like observing a small dancer practicing invisible steps under soft night light, guided by memories of wild landscapes and survival lessons passed down through generations. And so, play becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a bridge between past and present, between wild ancestry and domestic comfort, a gentle reminder that curiosity is one of the strongest survival tools in nature, allowing cats to remain both independent explorers and peaceful companions in human homes. As the night grows deeper and silence wraps softly around sleeping homes, a cat lying peacefully on a soft blanket may suddenly twitch its whiskers, move its paws as if chasing invisible prey, or make tiny vocal sounds that seem to come from a world far away. And this quiet movement is a window into the mysterious world of feline dreams, because like humans, cats experience complex sleep cycles filled with brain activity, emotional memory processing, and sensory replay of daily experiences. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, enter a sleep state similar to human rapid eye movement, REM, sleep, during which their brains become highly active even while their bodies remain relaxed and still. Scientists believe that during these REM phases, cats may dream about hunting movements, familiar territories, or social interactions, since their brains often replay survival-related memories to strengthen neural learning patterns. Studies observing cats in peaceful homes in regions such as Turkey have shown that sleeping cats often choose warm, safe, and quiet locations before entering deep sleep cycles, because safety directly influences dream quality and sleep duration. A sleeping cat's brain is constantly performing important biological maintenance, organizing memories, regulating hormones, and restoring muscle energy, much like a silent night laboratory working inside a small, breathing body. The small twitches you may see in their paws are believed to be connected to motor cortex activation, where the brain rehearses movement patterns without actually moving the body, similar to athletes mentally practicing skills before performance. Their ears may also twitch slightly during sleep, reacting to distant sounds that their subconscious brain still monitors for safety signals, because complete unconsciousness is never truly achieved in wild survival biology. Even their breathing rhythm can change during dreams, sometimes becoming faster during exciting dream sequences and slower during calm dream states, reflecting emotional processing inside neural circuits. In busy urban homes in cities such as Dubai, where artificial lights and constant environmental noise exist, many cat owners notice that their pets prefer darker rooms for deep sleep, because darkness encourages natural circadian rhythm regulation. Kittens tend to dream more frequently than older cats because their brains are still rapidly developing sensory and behavioral memory patterns. Watching a dreaming cat can feel deeply calming for humans because our brains often subconsciously mirror peaceful breathing patterns, creating a shared environment of relaxation. As you watch a sleeping cat tonight, imagine its mind wandering through soft fields of memory, chasing glowing dream prey across silent landscapes, resting beneath moonlight skies of imagination, carrying ancient instincts into peaceful night visions. In that quiet dreaming world, survival and comfort merge together, creating a soft psychological landscape where wild ancestry and domestic safety coexist peacefully inside a sleeping feline mind, like a gentle story being written silently by the night itself. When the night is calm and the house feels softly warm from hidden heaters or fading daytime sunlight stored inside walls, a cat may search for the perfect spot to rest, because unlike humans who often adjust clothing or blankets, cats rely heavily on environmental warmth to maintain their internal body temperature, and this simple behavior reveals a fascinating biological balance between metabolism, survival instinct, and comfort-seeking behavior. The normal body temperature of domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, is slightly higher than that of humans, usually ranging between 38 and 39 degrees Celsius, which means they naturally seek external warmth sources such as sunlight patches, electronic devices, or human bodies during colder nights. In quiet homes located in cold weather regions like London, it is common to see cats curling tightly into circular shapes while sleeping, minimizing heat loss by reducing exposed body surface area, a technique inherited from wild ancestors who survived cold desert nights and mountain climates by conserving energy. Their fur also acts as a natural thermal insulation system, trapping warm air close to the skin, similar to how advanced human winter clothing uses layered fabrics to maintain body heat. Interestingly, cats can regulate their blood flow to extremities such as ears and tails, reducing heat loss when resting but increasing circulation when active, allowing their bodies to dynamically respond to temperature changes without conscious effort. When a cat lies on a human chest or lap, it is not only seeking emotional comfort but also benefiting from the natural warmth generated by breathing and heartbeat rhythms, creating a biological microclimate of safety and warmth. Researchers have observed that warmth preference is deeply connected to evolutionary survival patterns because wild cats historically rested on sun-heated rocks or warm earth surfaces after hunting at dawn or dusk. During colder seasons, cats may become slightly less active because their metabolism shifts toward energy conservation, reducing unnecessary movement to maintain internal stability. Even their purring may contribute to temperature regulation, since continuous muscle vibration produces small amounts of heat energy while also promoting relaxation. In modern urban homes with central heating systems, cats often follow invisible warmth gradients across floors, moving slowly from room to room as temperatures change throughout the day. In historical coastal cities such as those near the Mediterranean trade routes, cats would often sleep inside merchant ships' storage areas, where grain sacks and wooden structures retained warmth during long ocean journeys. Watching a cat search for the warmest sleeping spot can feel almost scientific, like observing a small biological engineer testing different environmental conditions through instinct rather than conscious thought. Their paw pads also help regulate temperature because they contain sweat glands that release small amounts of moisture to cool the body when necessary. This balance between warmth retention and cooling ability allows cats to remain comfortable across different climates, from hot summer rooftops to cold winter windowsills. As you imagine a cat resting peacefully in a warm beam of evening light, breathing slowly and steadily, you may realize that comfort for cats is not just emotional but deeply physical, woven into their biology like a quiet survival algorithm running beneath soft fur and closed eyes, reminding us that even rest is a carefully balanced science of life and survival. As the night grows softer and human conversations fade into whispers or complete silence, a cat sitting nearby may still be communicating in its own subtle language, using slow movements, eye contact, posture, and gentle vocal sounds rather than loud or complex noises, because cats evolved as independent hunters who did not need loud social signals to survive. Yet over thousands of years living beside humans, they gradually learned how to interact with people in ways that feel emotionally meaningful. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, have developed unique communication styles when living in human environments, especially in busy modern cities such as Singapore, where humans and cats often share compact living spaces and closely connected daily routines. One of the most recognizable forms of communication is vocalization, particularly the soft meow that adult cats rarely use with other cats but frequently use with humans, suggesting that this sound is specifically adapted for human attention. Researchers believe that cats may have learned that humans respond positively to baby-like vocal sounds, which may explain why their meows sometimes resemble soft infant cries rather than aggressive animal calls. Another powerful communication method is eye contact, especially slow blinking, which is often interpreted as a sign of trust and affection because closing the eyes briefly signals that the cat feels safe enough to reduce defensive vigilance. If a human slowly blinks back at a cat, it may strengthen social bonding, almost like participating in a silent, emotional conversation that requires no spoken language. Body posture also plays an important role, because a cat approaching with a raised tail and relaxed body is usually expressing friendliness, while flattened ears or a crouched body position can signal fear or discomfort. When a cat rubs its head or body against a human leg, it is marking territory through scent glands located around the face, but it is also expressing social attachment, because scent mixing helps create familiar group identity recognition. In homes across countries such as Japan, where cats are culturally celebrated in art and folklore, people often treat these behaviors as emotional greetings rather than simple biological actions. Even the quiet act of sitting near a human without touching them can be a sign of trust, because cats often prefer proximity over constant physical contact. Their communication also changes depending on mood, because happy cats may produce soft chirping sounds when watching birds outside windows, while anxious cats may hide or move slowly to avoid perceived threats. Scientists studying feline behavior have noticed that cats learn human routines surprisingly well, recognizing feeding times, sleeping schedules, and even emotional patterns of household members. This ability comes from long-term observation and memory retention rather than complex reasoning, allowing cats to live harmoniously with humans without becoming overly dependent. As you sit quietly in the evening, perhaps reading or listening to soft, relaxing music, imagine a cat observing you with calm curiosity, understanding your presence through breathing rhythm, movement speed, and emotional energy, creating a silent relationship that does not require words but still carries deep meaning, like two different species sharing the same peaceful night. In that quiet space, communication becomes less about language and more about presence, warmth, and trust, forming a gentle emotional bridge between human life and feline instinct that has existed for thousands of years. As the quiet history of cats unfolds across generations, one of the most fascinating scientific stories lies hidden inside their DNA, because the domestic cat we see today is the result of thousands of years of natural selection, environmental adaptation, and subtle human influence, rather than aggressive, selective breeding like many other domesticated animals. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, share ancestry with wildcat species that once roamed vast territories across Europe, Africa, and parts of Asia, surviving through exceptional hunting efficiency, sensory adaptation, and behavioral independence. Genetic studies have shown that the domestication process of cats was much slower and more voluntary compared to animals like dogs, because early wildcats chose to live near human settlements when those environments provided stable food sources in the form of rodents attracted to stored grain. This evolutionary partnership is believed to have begun in regions surrounding ancient agricultural civilizations in areas historically connected to the Fertile Crescent, where early farming communities created ecological niches that supported both human and feline survival. Unlike many domesticated animals that underwent dramatic physical changes through selective breeding, cats retained most of their wild anatomy, including sharp reflexes, flexible spines, and highly sensitive sensory organs, allowing them to remain effective hunters even while living inside human homes. However, subtle genetic shifts did occur, particularly in genes related to social behavior and stress tolerance, allowing modern cats to feel more comfortable living in close proximity to humans. Scientists have identified genetic variations associated with coat color patterns, fur length, and eye pigmentation, which evolved partly due to environmental conditions and partly due to human preference for visually distinctive animals. In historical cities such as Cairo, cats with certain coat patterns were often valued culturally and spiritually, influencing which animals were allowed to reproduce within human communities. Evolution also shaped metabolic efficiency in cats, allowing them to survive on protein-rich diets rather than carbohydrate-heavy food sources, which is why modern cats still require high levels of animal protein for optimal health. Their digestive systems are specifically adapted to process meat-based nutrients, reflecting their evolutionary role as obligate carnivores. Behavioral genetics also plays an important role, because some cats are naturally more social while others remain highly independent, reflecting variations in ancestral survival strategies. Scientists studying feline behavior have found that temperament traits can be influenced by both genetics and early childhood experiences, especially interactions with mother cats during the first weeks of life. Over time, as humans spread across continents through trade and exploration, cats traveled alongside them on ships and trade caravans, helping control pests while gradually adapting to new climates and cultures. Today, cats can be found in homes across major global cities such as New York, demonstrating their remarkable evolutionary flexibility. As you imagine this long genetic journey written quietly inside every cat's cells, you can think of modern cats as living historical archives, carrying ancient survival knowledge inside their biological structure while peacefully resting beside modern human life, bridging wild past and comfortable present through slow evolutionary time. Across centuries of human history, cats have carried not only biological and scientific significance but also deep spiritual and cultural symbolism, often representing mystery, protection, independence, and quiet wisdom in many societies, because their behavior naturally inspires myth, art, and storytelling in cultures across the world. In ancient civilizations surrounding the sacred temples of Luxor in Egypt, cats were believed to possess protective spiritual energy, often associated with sacred guardianship against evil spirits and disease-carrying rodents that threatened early human settlements. Ancient Egyptians even worshipped feline deities and created elaborate artistic depictions of cats sitting calmly beside royalty, symbolizing divine protection and royal elegance. This spiritual respect was so strong that harming a cat was once considered a serious crime, and historical records describe periods when households would mourn the natural death of a pet cat by shaving their eyebrows as a sign of grief and respect. In contrast, during medieval periods in parts of Europe, cats experienced negative symbolism due to superstition, sometimes being associated with witchcraft or mysterious supernatural forces, though this fear was often based on misunderstanding rather than biological reality. Over time, cultural perception shifted again during the Renaissance and later industrial periods as scientific knowledge replaced superstition. In modern urban societies such as Berlin, cats are often viewed as symbols of independence, artistic creativity, and emotional comfort, frequently appearing in literature, street art, and digital culture. Japanese culture also holds a special place for cats, where they are associated with luck and prosperity, especially through traditional figurines placed near shop entrances to attract good fortune, reflecting centuries of folklore tradition in regions such as Japan. From a psychological perspective, humans often project emotional meaning onto cats because their behavior feels simultaneously familiar and mysterious. Cats do not display constant emotional expression like some highly social animals, which creates a sense of quiet spiritual presence rather than loud social interaction. This balance between visibility and mystery has allowed cats to become powerful symbolic creatures in art, poetry, and storytelling around the world. In many modern homes, especially in coastal cities such as Sydney, people describe their cats as emotional guardians of peaceful living spaces, providing psychological comfort through their calm observation and gentle companionship. Scientists studying human psychology have observed that simply watching a resting cat can reduce anxiety levels because the human brain subconsciously synchronizes with slow breathing rhythms and peaceful visual movement patterns. The spiritual symbolism of cats often reflects their biological traits, because their silent movement, night vision, and independent behavior naturally create associations with mystery and hidden knowledge. Even in modern internet culture, cats have become symbols of humor, relaxation, and emotional connection, spreading across digital communities worldwide. As you imagine ancient temples, medieval streets, and modern apartments all connected through the silent presence of cats, you may begin to see how these small animals have quietly influenced human civilization, not through force or dominance, but through calm coexistence, mystery, and timeless companionship, like living symbols of night wisdom walking softly through history. In the calm hours of late night or early morning, when human worries feel heavier and thoughts move slowly like soft waves on a quiet ocean, the presence of a resting cat nearby can feel strangely healing, almost like natural therapy created by evolution itself, because cats have long been associated with emotional comfort, stress relief, and psychological balance in human life. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, influence human well-being through multiple biological and emotional mechanisms, including rhythmic purring vibrations, gentle social interaction, and calming visual movement patterns that encourage slower breathing and reduced anxiety. Scientific studies in cities such as Toronto have shown that pet ownership, especially cat companionship, can lower cortisol levels, which is the hormone associated with stress response in the human body. When a cat purrs at frequencies between 25 and 150 Hz, those subtle vibrations may stimulate tissue relaxation, muscle recovery, and nervous system calming responses, similar to low-frequency therapeutic sound treatments used in modern medicine. This is why many people feel emotionally safer when a cat rests on their chest or beside their legs during sleep, because the rhythmic vibration and warmth together create a comforting biological environment. In psychological therapy settings in regions such as Madrid, animal-assisted emotional therapy sometimes includes cats as companion animals for patients suffering from loneliness, depression, or anxiety disorders, because cats provide companionship without overwhelming social pressure. Unlike highly demanding social animals, cats allow humans to interact at their own comfort pace, which creates a feeling of emotional control and safety. Their slow blinking behavior can also trigger relaxation responses in humans, because slow eye movement communication is interpreted by the brain as a non-threatening social signal. Researchers have discovered that watching a sleeping cat can help reduce mental fatigue because the human brain naturally mirrors calm environmental rhythms. Even the simple act of stroking a cat's fur can stimulate the release of oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, which strengthens emotional attachment and feelings of happiness. In mountainous regions such as Switzerland, where long winters can increase isolation feelings, many families keep cats for emotional warmth and psychological comfort during cold seasons. From an evolutionary perspective, this healing effect may have developed because humans and cats formed cooperative living relationships thousands of years ago, allowing emotional comfort to become a natural byproduct of physical proximity. As you imagine a cat resting peacefully beside a window while soft rain falls outside and night lights reflect gently across wet streets, you may feel how comfort itself can become a biological conversation between two different species, one speaking through vibration, warmth, and presence, and the other responding through breathing, calm observation, and emotional peace, like a quiet healing language spoken without words. As seasons slowly change and the world outside shifts from warm sunlight to cooler winds or from winter silence to blooming spring life, cats naturally adapt their behavior, sleep patterns, and activity levels to match the environmental rhythm of nature, because like many animals, they carry biological clocks inside their bodies that respond to light, temperature, and atmospheric changes. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, possess circadian rhythms controlled by light-sensitive signals in their brains, meaning that daylight and darkness help regulate when they hunt, sleep, play, or rest, even in modern homes with artificial lighting. In coastal cities such as Lisbon, where sunlight is abundant and ocean winds create mild climates, cats may spend more time lounging near windows during daytime hours, soaking in warm sunlight that helps maintain body temperature and supports vitamin-related metabolic processes through skin and fur exposure to light. During colder seasons in northern regions like Canada, cats often become slightly more sedentary, conserving energy by sleeping longer and choosing warmer resting places near heaters or human bodies. This seasonal behavioral adjustment comes from evolutionary survival strategies inherited from wild ancestors who needed to conserve energy during periods when prey was harder to find. In nature, wild cats living in forested regions such as parts of Siberia developed thick fur layers and stronger fat insulation to survive harsh winters, while cats living in warmer climates developed lighter fur structures and more efficient heat dissipation mechanisms. Seasonal changes can also influence mood and play activity, because longer daylight hours often encourage more playfulness, hunting simulation behavior, and social interaction. When spring arrives, many cat owners notice increased energy levels. As birds return, insects become more active, and natural hunting instincts awaken through visual and auditory stimulation. Even indoor cats feel these seasonal transitions through subtle temperature shifts and natural light cycles entering through windows. Scientists believe that these environmental signals influence hormone production related to reproduction and activity patterns. Historically, in agricultural societies located near fertile river civilizations such as the ancient lands surrounding the Nile and Mesopotamian regions, cats played an important role in protecting crops during seasonal harvest cycles by controlling rodent populations. As you imagine a cat resting peacefully in a patch of sunlight slowly moving across a wooden floor, you may feel how deeply connected these small creatures are to Earth's natural cycles, moving quietly with the turning of seasons like living reflections of time passing slowly through nature's soft rhythm. As the story of cats and humans gently comes to a peaceful close in this final reflection, it becomes clear that the relationship between people and cats is not just about companionship, science, or survival, but about shared existence across time, because cats have walked silently beside humanity through wars, civilizations, technological revolutions, and quiet, everyday moments of comfort. Domestic cats, scientifically known as Felis catus, represent one of the most successful examples of natural coexistence between wild instinct and human civilization, maintaining independence while also accepting warmth, shelter, and emotional connection from humans. From ancient temples of forgotten empires to modern apartments high above glowing city streets, cats have remained symbols of mystery, comfort, and silent observation of human life. In modern megacities such as Shanghai, cats continue to live alongside millions of people, adapting effortlessly to crowded spaces, noise, and artificial lights, proving their incredible evolutionary flexibility. What makes cats truly remarkable is not only their biology or behavior but their ability to exist peacefully within human emotional spaces, offering companionship without demanding constant attention. They teach humans the beauty of quiet presence, the value of patience, and the importance of resting without guilt. When you watch a cat sleeping peacefully on a chair, window ledge, or beside your bed, you are witnessing millions of years of evolutionary history resting in perfect stillness. Their slow breathing, soft purring, and relaxed muscles reflect a philosophy of life that balances survival with comfort. Perhaps this is why cats have become so deeply integrated into human culture, appearing in art, literature, internet culture, and spiritual symbolism across continents. In countries such as Brazil, street cats are often seen as part of neighborhood life, moving freely between homes and streets like quiet guardians of urban spaces. As technology continues to change human lifestyles, cats remain constant companions, unaffected by social trends, simply existing in their natural rhythm. The legacy of cats is not written in history books through grand battles or political achievements, but through quiet comfort, soft footsteps across floors, and the gentle sound of purring during lonely nights. As this long journey of science, emotion, and mystery ends, imagine one final scene. A cat resting peacefully near a window while distant city lights shimmer softly outside, breathing slowly, eyes half closed, carrying within its small body the story of ancient forests, early civilizations, human homes, and future generations yet to come. And in that peaceful silence, the legacy of cats continues forever, not loudly, but beautifully, like a quiet dream that never truly ends.